Welcome to this very special Creator Up Tech Tip series. In this series, we're going to talk about how to create your first mobile app, or actually your first hybrid mobile app with Ionic framework and AngularJS. So in this class, we'll learn about how to build a cross-platform hybrid mobile app for iOS and Android using only front-end technology, which is Ionic framework and AngularJS. Without further ado, let's look at what we're going to create. This is the app we're going to create. You basically get all the latest video from my YouTube channel. And it's all YouTube video, you can play them. You can share this video on Facebook, Twitter, and all other social media. You see here all the video. And we also provide the function to connect to your WordPress website instead of YouTube. So if I change the option, every post actually comes from my WordPress site. And we'll teach you how to connect your mobile app with WordPress and using WordPress as a mobile backend. So we have a lot to cover. So let's get started. So what is Ionic? Ionic is, according to the official website, it's a beautiful open source front-end SDK for developing hybrid mobile app with web technology. So with your current HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript knowledge, you can as well create mobile apps without learning Swift, Objective-C, Java, or C#. Ionic uses Node.js. So step one, we have to make sure you have Node.js installed in your computer. So open your terminal. Just make sure you have Node.js installed. If you type this command and return the Node.js version, that means you have a Node.js installed in your machine. If you don't see anything, you can go to nodejs.org to download and install Node.js. It's very simple, so just download and install it. After you download Node.js, you have the package control called npm, so you can type in this command. npm install global, Cordova, and Ionic. Ionic is built on top of Cordova, and Cordova is a framework that let you interact with your device native functionality like camera, file system, share system, in-app browser, and all the other good stuff. So if you run into any problem to install any npm package, it probably is the permission issue of your Mac computer. So you can simply type sudo, same thing, to give you like administrator access power to install npm globally. That should solve the problem. You will also need to install Android SDK and Xcode for iOS if you're working on a Mac to test your app on iOS emulator or Android emulator. So let's assume that you already have Xcode installed and also you have Android SDK installed. Before we get started, we want to make sure we have all our environment and software installed. So just type in your terminal Ionic info. So I would suggest you use Ionic version 1, which is a stable release of Ionic. Next, we will create our first Ionic app. First, let's create a folder. After you create a folder, it's a shortcut. You find a path of the folder in your terminal by just dragging the folder in your terminal. Just hit enter. You actually now go into the folder you just created. The next step is we need to start it Ionic. So Ionic have a really handy command called Ionic start your project's name. So whatever name you want to name your project. And here we gotta create a YouTube video app. So we'll name it YouTube video. And blank is the name, the template. It's a lot of template come with Ionic, like sidebar menu, tab template, and all the other goodie. For simplicity, I would just use a blank template so you can actually learn more on how to create Ionic app from scratch. So hit enter. We download Ionic. Good. Now we successfully installed Ionic into the folder. Let's take a look. Oh, before that, make sure you actually go into the folder we just installed Ionic. So see, the folder actually is inside my test project called YouTube video. So now you can run Ionic Surf to run the app in your web browsers. Okay, it's open up here. In your Chrome, you can right click and inspect element. Click this little icon to open mobile browser, test view. And let's play iPhone 6. Refresh your page. Boom, that's your first mobile app you just created. That's pretty easy, huh? So now next step, we're gonna customize our Ionic app. So go back to this folder. Let's drag it onto Sublime. Open it. And basically everything you need to do to customize your Ionic app is all under the www folders. And let's take a look at all the file Ionic created for us. So Ionic created an index file for us and an app file for us. Let's first step delete all the comment. So reduce the noise. Next, also try to make our Angular more expressive by introducing a new variable called app, like so. And wrap this around and cell invoke function. Put this whole thing inside cell invoke function, like so. And also, while we edit, let's change the name of our app from starter to our app name, which is YouTube video. Because I change the app name here, we need to also make changes on our index file. As you see, ng app is an Angular way to connect your app to the JS file, the JavaScript file. So make sure the name of your app is the same in here. So change it. There you go. My YouTube app. So while you edit, also change the title of it. Let's save it. We see everything look fine. So again, if you don't see this console log tool, just click this like little triangle thing, pop this up, so whenever there's an error, you can actually see it. So next thing, we are going to create a controller. So what is a controller? So controller is an Angular way to control the business logic of your app. So make sure you first use app here because we introduced a new variable. So app.run, and that is just auto-generated by Ionic. So next thing we need to add is a controller. I will name it my controller, and also inject scope and HTTP service from Angular. HTTP service is basically Angular way to get RESTful data from remote server. So while we're at it, we're also gonna create a video array under scope. So after we create controller, let's connect this controller. Let's make sure we have a bit of a syntax right here. Let's connect this controller into our index file. How? Very simple. We can just using another Angular directive called ngController. And let's copy the name there. Make sure we have no error. Yes, no error. Great. Okay. The next step is, before we connect to the actual remote server, we want to figure out how Ionic works. So let's just copy in some dummy data I prepared for you guys in this array we just created. Inside this array, we have properties called title, date, and thumbnails, which is connected to a YouTube image. Let's save that. So that's all we need to do in our controller. And this, in an MVC mindset, is a model. So now we have the model, which is the data. We can display it in our template. Underneath Ionic content, we will use Ionic card. Okay, so let's take a look at this code we just copy and paste in. First, we have a class called list and card. So what is Ionic card? You can actually go on the Ionic website, take a look at the document. So how to populate this beautiful Ionic card, and I'll give you all the instruction to copy and paste to generate it. And as you see, if you put the class list and card in the div, you will generate this beautiful Ionic card for your mobile. It's very similar to Twitter Bootstrap. So if you have any question, just go on their document. So how to find a document? Go on their website or doc. Go on CSS components, and you can find all the Ionic components you want to use. Basically, just pick one. And here we use card and showcase, and basically copy and paste this entire block of code here. This card. So next thing you see, we have an ng repeat. So ng repeat is the Angular function to iterate an array, like video in video. It's just like a for loop, but it's an Angular for loop on a template level. So we can just iterate all the item inside this array. And here's a video inside a videos array. So Ionic use double curly braces for two-way data binding. So as you see, this data is bind to here in our model. So basically we tell the template what to display. So we have title, date, have filter to limit to only 10 characters. And we also gotta display the image using ng-sync. Because we gotta display Ionic data, we should use Ionic directive. So instead of just sync, we use ng-sync. So that's it. Let's save. If you've done everything right, you should see the Ionic card show up in your app. Looking great with the title, the date, and the image. That's awesome. So now we successfully display a fake data with Ionic card. Now let's actually get real data from YouTube. So before we get data from YouTube, we do need a Google developer account to actually get data from YouTube. So you can actually follow this guy. I'll leave the URL at the blog post and go to Google Developer Console to actually create an app right here, create a project, and get a YouTube API code to actually do the query. So that's pretty straightforward. And you also want to take a look at the YouTube data API document to see what kind of parameters you can pass in to manipulate your data. Take a look at this link. So in here, we don't need the fake data anymore, so I comment it out. So again, we want the video array to be empty. And then we also create a scope property called YouTube params, which we will we will like paste in all our param data. And you will get this Google YouTube API key from the process I just showed you. Just copy and paste this API key here. And we want video. We want only get file result. And we want a part ID and snippet. We can also put in our search keyword here. And we want to order by date. And also you can put in a channel name here. So let's fill this in with a real API key, channel name. And we are actually going to order it by view count. So then we're going to use Angular HTTP GET request to query the YouTube URL, which is the Google URL right here, passing the param, like so, param equal to scope.youtube params. So it returns a promise. So after it's success, so you can see the language is actually straightforward. Go request is asynchronous request. It returns a promise, and after it's success, it will return and respond data. And then we gotta put this respond data into an Angular for each, just like a for loop, to loop each data. And for now, we basically just console log it. So if you're not sure what YouTube gonna return as data wise, you can first just comment this out and only console log the response data, like right here. See what we get from YouTube. So now you see YouTube respond an object with items, with file array. So that's why we need to actually go into items to get these file arrays. So great. So we go back to subline. Now we can delete this line. So what we need to do is iterate the items in respond data. So uncomment this line using Angular for each, it's a for loop, and console log each items. So let's take a look at what we got this time. So boom, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we got 5 items from YouTube. And you can see the data. You get the ID, which is the YouTube ID, video ID number here. We also got a snippet. Inside snippet, we have channel title, which is from our YouTube channel, have description, have publish time ad, and also have thumbnail. We will grab the highest quality thumbnail right here, and also the title of the video. Great. So now let's display this data into our app. So let's go back to our template. We're gonna change our syntax. So let's look at the data we respond from YouTube again. The title is actually under snippet. So do that. So it's under the video, under snippet, my pt snippet, and then it's title. And same with date. It actually doesn't call date, it called published at. And then last, need to get a thumbnail. So let's take a look at thumbnail again. So thumbnail is actually under snippet, thumbnails, and I picked the highest quality, and that's under URL. So you gotta match that in your curly ballistic right here. So let's see, right here we still just console log it. That's kind of useless. So we don't need to console log it anymore. We actually gonna want to push the data into this video array, so we can use ng-repeat to show all the data. So how can we do it? It's an array. So we basically just need to push it in. We're gonna push the child in this array. Save it again. Go back and check out what we got. Ooh, look. Now we got all our data from YouTube. That's awesome. Okay, so what we have so far is pretty cool. We get the data from YouTube. We get a title, the image, the date, but we don't get a video. So we actually want to show the video in our app. So how can we do that? So luckily we're using Angular. There's an Angular library to rendering YouTube video in your view. Very easy. So go on to this URL, which we can use the Angular YouTube embedded library here. So you can follow instruction to install that through Bowers. So if you don't have a Bower install, so let's click the preview first. You can npm install Bower. After you npm install Bower, which is a package control for your front end, you can copy and paste for the instruction. Bower install this library. We go ahead and install this library from GitHub. And then we need to also include the YouTube library, YouTube iframe library right here, and also the Bower package we just downloaded. So let's go to index. First, we need to include the YouTube iframe API library, and then we need to include the library we just downloaded under libs. So Bower will put everything under your lib folder under www. So basically just point the path there. So it's under libs, Angular YouTube MB. Then under the distribution folder, dist. And then here's the file name. Angular YouTube embed minified version. Save it. So the next step, we need to inject YouTube embed as a dependency in our app. So we can do just that. Copy that. Go back to our app. So in here, we can inject this dependency into our app so we can use it. Okay, I think that's it. So the last thing, we basically just need to using the directive and put in a YouTube ID, and we can show the video in our app. So I already prepared this code for you guys. So back to our template, we're gonna use the directive we just installed, the YouTube embed. So underneath right here, we don't need the image here anymore. So we're gonna delete that. Instead, we're replacing with this new div. YouTube video div. So it's an Angular directive. And then we're gonna pass in the video ID. So this video ID is actually returned by YouTube. Refresh, and you just see the video actually showing up in the app now, but it's very weird because it's very big. Why? Because the video is not responsive according to the size of the app. So we do need to add some responsive script on the video itself. So that's why you see this YouTube directives actually have a class called embed responsive item and wrap underneath this div. And I actually get this code directly from Twitter Bootstrap responsive video. So all you need to do is basically use this HTML, and we're gonna style this div to be responsive. So open your www folder under CSS. There's a style. So now it's empty. We just need to add some responsive CSS right here. Save it. Kind of make it look pretty. Now save it and go back. Boom! Look. Now you can watch the videos straight up from the app now. Great. We're almost done here. So now we have a fully functional app, but this app is only previewed in our Chrome web browser. We want to actually see this app into maybe iOS simulator. So if you have Xcode installed, go back to your terminal, hit Q to access the Ionic CLI, and here we're gonna type in Ionic emulate iOS. So that is assuming you have an iOS simulator installed. If you don't have that installed before you running this command, install Xcode, of course, and then also you should run this command. npm install globally iOS simulator. Again, if you have a permission issue, put sudo in front of it, like so, to install the iOS simulator globally. Again, I have that installed already, so I don't need to do that. And then we can simply type in Ionic emulate iOS, and then we can push and build our app in iOS environment and test run it in the iOS simulator, as you see right here. Okay, look at home. So you do see this new app right here. We just created, and now it's on an iOS devices. Hit play. See, playing the video in the native iOS video player. Awesome. So part 1 of the tutorial is finished here. It's quite a journey for your first mobile app. In the next part, we're gonna introduce how to connect your Ionic app actually with your WordPress site. And so instead of getting the data from YouTube, we're gonna get the data from your own WordPress site, WordPress backend. So I will see you next time.